The truth is hard to come by. It shouldn't be. But because of Donald Trump, 2016, Fox News, Kellyanne Conway, alternative facts, we've reached a place where we don't trust anything, which is terribly unfortunate. In this breaking story, however, we are going to finally show you actual analysis because the jig is up. No matter what the GOP says, yes, your Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, without question, is under the gun. It's going to get taken away, and it's going to get taken away. Why? To give a bunch of money to the richest 1%. And it's in the works.
Thanks to Elon Musk, Donald Trump could become the first president in history who fails to deliver Social Security benefits. Social Security checks have never been a day late or a dollar short, but now we have no idea what is happening inside the Social Security Administration. The 12-page affidavit goes into great detail. This is an under oath statement. Great detail about what has happened at the Social Security Administration in the recent days, leading to the conclusion, I am not confident that Department of Government Efficiency associates have the requisite knowledge and training to prevent sensitive information from being inadvertently transferred to bad actors. That is your birth date, your Social Security number, and all the information necessary to steal your identity, possibly being, quote, inadvertently transferred to bad actors.
But in this breaking story, aside from all the rhetoric, we have the truth. In leading up to that, I'm going to show you in a few seconds, let's get really clear on what's being hidden in the background administratively to help create this, and then the absolute truth from a congressman on the exact subject. Take a listen.
The proposed House Republican budget would cut at least $880 billion for Medicaid. That means critical health care will be at risk for seniors, families, people with disabilities, and children. And look, one of the most dangerous parts of this is attacking the federal funding that California gets for Medicaid, California and every other state. Of course, we call it Medi-Cal. The Republican plan would mean fewer doctors taking Medicaid, longer wait times at hospitals, healthcare workers potentially losing their jobs, and maybe even nursing homes and some community clinics having to shut down altogether. And all for what? For tax cuts for the wealthiest billionaire donors in our country. I'm going to fight back against this with every tool that I have, and I'm going to also fight to lower healthcare costs for people across this country.
That's your background. Now, since we don't trust anybody, do we trust the nonpartisan brainiacs at Yale who are just doing numbers? Here is the story showing exactly what is going to happen to Medicare and Medicaid. Take a listen. Breaking news. New analysis says Trump budget plan will take from poorest 40% to give to wealthy. An analysis by Yale University has found that a budget plan being considered by Republican lawmakers would ultimately transfer wealth from the poorest 40% of Americans to the richest 1%. Researchers Harris Epsteiner and John Rico of Yale's Budget Lab found that the proposed GOP budget, whose framework was supported last month in a vote by the House, would include $4.5 trillion in tax cuts that would largely benefit the wealthy, along with $1.5 trillion in spending cuts, including benefits for the public, including the poorest. Approximately $230 billion of those cuts would come from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, often shorted to SNAP, which helps poor families afford food. Another $880 billion would come from cuts to Medicaid, which provides assistance for individuals with limited resources to pay for health care. It's also the program that covers the cost of 60% of elderly Americans in nursing homes. Both cuts would occur over a 10-year period. In quotes, the overall effect of these policy changes would be regressive, shifting after-tax and transfer resources away from households at the bottom of the distribution towards the top, Epsteiner and Rico wrote in their analysis. The after-tax and transfer income refers to the income remaining after deducting all taxes and adding back government transfers such as Social Security, Medicare, unemployment benefits, and so on. Taxed households at the bottom of the income distribution would see a reduction in after-tax and transfer income of 5%. Those in the middle of the distribution would see a modest increase of 6%, and those in the top 5% of tax unit households would see an increase of 3%, wrote Epsteiner and Rico. In quotes, more than 100% of the net fiscal benefit would accrue to the top quintile, the analysis added. Donald Trump has repeatedly insisted that he will not cut Medicaid, but independent analysts have reported that the Republicans cannot achieve their budget without making severe cuts to the program. Proposed Republican changes to Medicaid have already caused protests in several parts of the nation. In addition to the cuts, the proposed Republican budget would also renew expiring provisions of Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, which itself was the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the ultra-rich in U.S. history. Yes. That is the reality. And I don't normally do this, but I'm going to recommend that you share this with someone that you know that you can actually speak to who voted for Trump. Ask them this question. Why is it you believe that somehow as an American in the U.S., you can avoid all of the stuff that Donald Trump is talking about, and that only the things you're angry about or upset by, such as pronouns or illegal immigrants, that somehow you're going to get protected from the tsunami that is what Donald Trump is going to do economically? Ask them why and how they believe that's plausible or possible, because I got bad news for them. You aren't, we aren't, they aren't. This is going to affect anybody who's not a multi-millionaire. That's what's going to happen. And actually, oddly enough, yes, the poorest Americans are going to get destroyed for sure, but also people who make around $125,000 to $250,000 a year, and depending on where you live, that actually cannot be a ton of money. I know it sounds crazy, but it can not be a ton when you live in Manhattan. Those people are also going to get hammered by the tax code. So I don't grasp very well why people think they're insulated somehow voting for Trump, that what he's going to do, and Elon Musk is helping him, is somehow going to just slip by them. It isn't. And this is why I continually say, stay frosty.